Today we're going to be talking about the origin of Star Wars, but not in the way you think. What if I told you that this is the creation of Star Wars? That's right, this right here. And I'm going to prove that by the end of this video. You see, what you see here is the evolution of how George was inspired to create Star Wars. Here we have a fertilization egg. This is how everyone begins life. It's how Star Wars was born. Quite literally. You're probably thinking, this guy's nuts. He's crazy. Well, boom. Look at this. It's the Death Star. That's right. Notice anything? This is what George Lucas was inspired by to create the Death Star. Ironic that the original image creates life and the Death Star creates death. Not only that, but it goes deeper than that. Because Star Wars, what is Star Wars about? It's about a boy called Luke, and, he becomes a Jedi, he becomes a man. Then there's Princess Leia, who goes from a girl, a princess who needs saving, to a warrior who can take care of herself and look after an entire galaxy. The story of growing up. But it goes even deeper than just, a simple design for the Death Star. In the same way the sperm cells go to the egg, so does the blast go in the Death Star. It's a similar thing. Only one is about creating life, and one is about saving life. Or ending life. After all, there were still people on the Death Star. Bad guys, but still people. However, it goes even deeper than that, because some of these other phases that it goes through were also inspired by, designs that George Lucas would create. Such as the second phase looks a lot like the top of Yoda's head, as you can see. Or something even more interesting, like the third phase, and how it looks a lot like a powerful midichlorian. I'd say even Disney took inspiration by this, because in The Rise of Skywalker, the fourth phase looks a lot like the Death Star, as you can see here. And, Star Wars has always been about science as well. Even though people didn't like the midichlorians, there's a lot of science in Star Wars. Such as the chromosomes. Believe it or not, George Lucas was also inspired by science again and put some of the science into Star Wars, that being the X-Wings. And he designed them of the chromosomes. I also believe the last very phase of how the human being is created is also a part of Star Wars. And I believe the very last phase inspired George Lucas to create Jar Jar. Now, you probably couldn't see it at first, so I thought I'd kind of draw what I'm seeing here. This is a rough drawing of what I'm seeing, and it kind of does look like Jar Jar. Maybe not exact, but it's definitely enough for you to kind of get the idea that maybe George saw this and came up with the idea for Jar Jar. After all, George Lucas had said that Jar Jar is his favourite Star Wars character, and people just can't understand that. But now looking at this, it definitely makes you wonder, is this why? Is this why? Because this is the closest thing to where Star Wars came from, and Jar Jar is the design of where that all started. I don't know, it's just a theory, but Yeah, it's pretty interesting to think about. Maybe that's why Jar Jar is George Lucas's favorite character. So that's everything towards Star Wars being inspired by, sexual origins. Everything else is pretty much public knowledge, such as Darth Vader being inspired by Japanese samurai culture, which is really interesting because Disney actually recently posted these photos of the Star Wars characters basically in Japanese, samurai culture. So, that's a pretty cool thing. That's a pretty cool thing that they did. I just thought I'd mention that as like a honorable mention because, come on, these look pretty cool, don't they? Like, say what you want about Disney Star Wars, but little things about this, pretty damn cool. Pretty damn cool, if I do say so myself. I mean, they're just absolutely brilliant. I just love these designs. But yeah. Anyway, like Obi-Wan, for example. So, did you know that Obi-Wan was actually inspired by Gandalf? Yeah, Gandalf. Yeah, no, I don't see it either. I mean, Gandalf, really? Come on. How can Gandalf be... Ah, yep, I see it now. Honestly, just give the guy a lightsaber and that... Wow, it's Obi-Wan Kenobi. If you actually look at Gandalf's outfit, it looks a lot like Obi-Wan Kenobi's. Like, a lot. Like, seriously. Like, if I didn't know better, I would think that's an Obi-Wan Kenobi outfit. I mean, a huge giveaway is the belt. It's not straight. It's kind of this bendy looking belt. And also the boots. The boots are not red. Things like that. But, let's say I'm not a huge Star Wars fan. Let's say I've only seen 1 or 2 Star Wars films. You'd think that's Obi-Wan Kenobi. But as a massive Star Wars fan who knows what he's talking about, I'd say this is more inspired by the High Republic. As you can see, and look at Master Soul's outfit from The Acolyte. Yeah, you can definitely see the inspiration there. The robe is the main inspiration, but, Obi-Wan was the first Jedi ever created. And so his outfit was basically what all the other Jedi wore, pretty much. Well, what about Han Solo? What inspired Han Solo? Well, George Lucas's friend was quite rebellious. He was a rebel. And so, George Lucas wanted to create a character like his friend. And that's how he created Han Solo. What about Chewie? Well, Chewie was not inspired by this dog here. Which you'd think so, right? I mean, they look a lot alike. No, he was inspired by a dog, though. And that was George Lucas's dog. Who was actually called Indiana. Yeah, Indiana Jones. That's actually what inspired him to make Indiana Jones, his dog. What about Luke? Well, Luke was the whole idea of Star Wars. Like the kid turning into a man sort of thing. We've kind of already talked all about that. But something that Luke does in A New Hope is that he looks into the sunset and, wonders where he's going to be. And that's something George Lucas did in real life. He looked into the sun and wondered, what his future is, what's his destiny. And so, yeah, and George Lucas put that into the film. So that's pretty cool. Princess Leia is exactly the same, like a girl turning into a woman. And so, yeah, they're the very meaning of Star Wars, Well, what about the Stormtroopers? Well, they're based off some very bad people that I think you'll be able to work out who they are. But yeah, that's basically the origin of Star Wars and how it was created. And yeah, it's pretty amazing. And yeah, thanks for watching, guys. I will see you lot in the next one. Be sure to like and subscribe. And yeah, peace.